artificial intelligence, and she helps him wherever he needs. And so we took that name internally first, and then now it's like our official name, to actually also like, kind of like it helps to frame the personality a little bit. It helps to tell the story, like, you know, it's a similar kind of like sidekick that you want to actually, you know, bring with you and that helps you all the time. So Cortana shows up as like a tile on the home screen. So when you actually look here on the top right, there's like, it just flipped over, that little circle there, that's Cortana. And she might actually use this tile to actually notify you if there's like some important things that you should know about. So this circle might animate in a specific way, it might show, you know, like she might pulse so that you grab your attention, so that you go into her experience. And she flips over with some like interesting news and things like that she thinks is interesting to you. What you can do is like, you can actually tap on Cortana, and then, okay, the internet works great. She goes out and she actually picks a bunch of things for you that are relevant for you. Like for example, there's in the top like an overview of the day, so there's some information about that. And then you can go down and there's like some places, because I'm here right now in Munich, so she's like, hey, it might be interesting for you to know some places because you're here. And there's also like, for example, I was tracking the Cricket World Cup, so there's some news about that, things like that. And there's also like, you know, weather, for example, and a bunch of these cards that you can actually go and configure yourself. So you can go in and use Cortana's experience like through the notebook, which is basically similar like a personal assistant would actually carry a notebook and take notes about you, so she would learn about you and understand what you like and you dislike. And so basically we also have that, and you can go in and add, for example, interests into this notebook, and you can configure the notebook. Like for example, you see like the cards that you saw out there before are in here as well, but there's also things like around, you can also add things like, you know, for example, when you have a flight, she might come up and like it shows in here, and she might start alerting about the flight and things like that. So you can start adding things into this notebook, and she will track things for you in this notebook. And you can always go in and remove things that you don't want Cortana to know from the notebook. It's very transparent to you what she knows and what she doesn't know. And so what I wanted to show also is like the other area of Cortana is basically the part where I can go and ask Cortana something, right? So one investment that we did is like, you can always speak or you can type. Like you can do both at the same time. I'll show a little bit of speech. Hopefully my German is still good enough. Been living in the US long enough, so I'll try. But the first thing that you could actually go is like you can actually chat a little bit with Cortana, right? So let me go and ask her a couple of things. Wie heißt du?
Cortana.
Now she actually goes out and she wants, what happened here right now is like this string that the speech system recognized was actually sent to our service, and the service extracted the intent and also additional parameters. Like for example, I could say, hey, schedule a meeting with Marcus, and then she extracts information like, for example, hey, this is a meeting, that's intent, and the contact is Marcus. And then she comes back with that, and on the device, she can now set up the meeting, go to the calendar application, and set up this meeting with Marcus, right? And so she might follow up and say like, hey, when is that meeting? Is it tomorrow? Or like, and I can go in and say like, hey, it's tomorrow at 3 p.m. or something like that, right? The other thing that we also did to make it a little bit more entertaining is like we added some stuff that's a little bit specific to Germany here. Like I can go and say like, erzähl mir ein Märchen.
Kürzestes Märchen. Prinz, Kuss, Schluss.
So it's a little bit funny, but like every fairy tale or every Märchen has basically that kind of like storyline, right? There's a prince, there's a kiss, and it's over, right? And so, but you know, the other thing that we did is like you can actually go and say like, erzähl mir einen Witz.
Schwein vor der Steckdose. Komm raus, du Feigling.
So it's like kind of like we're trying to make it a little bit entertaining, and this is like around. So you might actually, it's interesting, it's funny. The thing here is that like a lot of people start interacting with Cortana this way, like it's like this personal part of it, right? So they understand that this is somebody that I can interact with, like a person or something I can talk to, and it like a lot of people start chatting with her this way, but then they actually go and they're like, hey, can I ask more things, right? So they're like, hey, I use usually search engine to find like weather information or something, right? So let me see if Cortana can help me with that, right? Wie ist das Wetter in München?
Zurzeit sind es 13 Grad und es ist größtenteils sonnig in München.
Und morgen?
Die Wettervorhersage für morgen meldet bei Temperaturen zwischen 2 und 13 Grad.
Und in Hamburg?
Die Wettervorhersage für morgen in Hamburg meldet bei Temperaturen zwischen 1 und 13 Grad.
So you see, like, you can actually do multiple turns here, so you can keep on talking to her, and she keeps the context running. So you can actually keep on going and ask her, like, how's it in the next month, like, different cities and things like that. And we have a bunch of answers where you can actually keep on going and the context stays around. You also heard that Cortana had, like, some of what she was saying back is not 100% right yet, so we launched this as an alpha. And we're looking at like a lot of feedback to get from the users to guide us how to like make this product better right now. And so another thing that's interesting is like you can also go and use some device functionality. So I need to call Markus, right? Rufe Markus an.
In Ordnung. Markus Hesch Handy anrufen.
So
Richtig.
She will now call him if I want to do it, but I will break it because I don't want to call him right now. It's just sitting there. But basically, you could go and call someone, and if you have multiple people in your contacts list, she will actually ask you, "Hey, which one is it?" And she will learn from your preferences. So if I call Marcus a lot, she might propose him as the default answer for that, right? She might just go and call him because she learned like over time. I'm always calling Marcus when I say call Marcus. And I can also do something extra. I can say, hey, specific people that are really important to me, I put into my inner circle, and I can give them nicknames. Like my brother, so I can say, like, call my brother, or I can even say, like, you know, give him a nickname and call him by the nickname, and I can use him everywhere with that nickname. If I want to set up a meeting with him or something, I can always use that, basically, information. So it gets very personal, right? The other thing that we also have is, like, for example, people use Cortana a lot to set reminders, right? So they are very interested to remember, like it's really hard to remember things, and Cortana has a very rich functionality set here. For example, doesn't turn off. Erinnere mich das nächste Mal, wenn ich im Supermarkt bin, Bier zu kaufen. Oh, didn't understand.
Okay, Erinnerung, wenn du Supermarkt erreichst.
So
Am nächsten ist E-Center.
So she didn't understand like the intent, like the beer, but like what happened is basically, let me just try it again one more time. Erinnere mich das nächste Mal, wenn ich im Supermarkt bin, Bier zu kaufen. Anyway, but
Okay,
the interesting
Erinnerung,
thing
wenn
here,
du Supermarkt erreichst.
what I wanted to like
Am
say,
nächsten ist E-Center Riem-Arzeaten in der Willy-Brandt-Platz in München, Stadt.
Okay.
Ist das der Ort, den du meinst?
So the interesting part here is that I actually could also pick like any supermarket. So if you look down here, it says irgendeinen Supermarket, which means that basically I can pick a specific market, grocery store, supermarket, or I can say anyone. And if I say that, if I walk into any supermarket, Cortana will pop up with a reminder and say like, hey, I want to...
Erinnerung, wenn du Supermarkt...
So she's very chatty. The thing here is like, if I type it, actually, what's also interesting, if you type, she wouldn't talk. She uses the same mechanism you use to talk to her, talk back. But the interesting thing is like, for this reminder is I can say any kind of supermarket. So even if I were to travel to, let's say, Denmark, and I walk into a supermarket and she knows that this is a supermarket, she will actually pop the reminder and say like, hey, buy this now, or like whatever like the reminder says, right? You can also attach reminders to people, so you can actually say, hey, I want to next time whenever I talk to my brother, remind me about something, and she will actually, whenever there's a call that I make or a call comes in from my brother, the reminder comes up as well, right? The other thing is you can go and quickly set like an appointment, so I can say like, trage einen Termin für morgen 15 Uhr ein.
Wie soll der Betreff lauten?
Wichtiges Meeting mit Markus.
In Ordnung. Ich kann den Termin wichtiges Meeting mit Markus für morgen 15 Uhr eintragen. Ist das korrekt?
Korrekt.
Soll ich das so in deinen Kalender eintragen?
Ja.
Okay, eingetragen.
And interesting,
Nebenbei, du hast 2 weitere Termine zu derselben Zeit.
the interesting thing here is that she also like knows that there's what's going on in my calendar, and she will actually tell me that these are additional, that I have additional appointments in my calendar right now and that have a conflict. think about in the future what we could be doing with this, where we could actually help you with like maybe arrange your calendar and things like that. Right? And I mean, the last thing I wanted to show you is like, you can also ask like, you can actually just go and say that do basic web search through Cortana as well. So I can ask her something like, where is Bill Gates? And given she didn't have like an answer that she would actually read out, she goes back to web search, and now I have basic Bing results that I get, and I can scroll through them and get all of like the information I want. And I could even go and, for example, have news in here about Bill Gates, and I could say, hey, now track this for me, and Cortana would track the news like I showed you in the beginning, where I had my list of interests, and these would come up on a regular basis, and I could actually look at them on a regular basis. So that's the demo for me.
Thanks, Christian.
Thank you.
So I'm